Shadow in the Cloud, a cheeky little movie that tried to pretend it wasn't a January movie by having one release date around the world that got out around December 31st, specifically in Taiwan. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you had absolutely no idea what this movie is and why I'm talking about it. One, it's January, there's literally call to talk about, and two, this movie looked super bad, so I thought it would be entertaining to watch. And also it is a movie where, I don't know, the trailer was released, let's say, around 2 weeks or so before the movie ever came out and was dumped in January. So it's like every single one of my criteria for what terrible movie to watch around the year. Because you know, if it's being dumped in January and they released the trailer only a few weeks before the movie is released, this is a movie that the studio wants to fail and is embarrassed by. Shadow in the Cloud's original script apparently was written by Max Landis. Let's just say that this man is now infamous for some bad touching behavior that may or may not have been alleged towards him. It has not gone into the legal procedures just yet. I'm just putting it out there for this very feminist movie, or trying to be. It was odd that the director, who said that she has rewritten 50% of the script, decided to choose a script written by a possible sexual offender, alleged possible sexual offender. Don't sue me. The thing is about Shadow in the Cloud, sure, it's a beyond stupid movie, and sure, Chloe Grace Moretz is only able to do a pog face and maybe scream a little bit, not very believably by the way. We'll get to that. I just want to put out there to the director that said that she wanted a co-writing thing for an American movie, and that she just says that she never worked with Max Landis before, and that this movie does not say anything about the fact that she chose his script. This movie is very simple. I am sure with the entirety of my being that there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of movies with tough woman fights random monster because she's tough woman, because, you know, alien ripoffs have been a thing since Alien has been out. It's not a really creative script. I am sure she could have chosen literally any other script. It's just bizarre she decided to go with a Max Landis script and then decide to also rewrite 50% of it and then say that the movie couldn't be judged by the fact that he wrote the original script. I think it's fair to point out that it's a weird thing that you did to choose that script in the first place, but whatever. Regardless of who or didn't or did write this movie is comically stupid. I would try to describe a plot to you, but there isn't such thing as a plot in this movie. It's less just things are happening now. It's not that they wouldn't make sense in the movie, they just happen. People will make really stupid decisions and the movie will follow along, and then you're just gonna go, it's not that this doesn't make sense. I don't understand why it's happening, but there's so little context given that I can't even properly judge if it does make sense or not. The movie seems to be almost a sequel because of how much of a personal grudge, spoilers alert, the Gremlin has against Chloe Grace Moretz. I know that you didn't know that this movie had a gremlin because you didn't see the trailer, because this movie was not advertised to anyone. This movie has an alien, or sorry, totally different, gremlin, totally different movie. It's one of those like family label gremlins though, so it just looks like a large lame ass bat. It's like a stock footage design for a monster, and they just put it in the movie. Sometimes it's relevant to the plot, it sometimes isn't relevant to the plot, sometimes it's really strong and sometimes it's really weak. It's completely dependent of what has to be happening right now in front of you in the movie. I would try to talk about acting, but since it's just literally Chloe Grace Moretz in like a hamster ball for most of the movie, all I can say is that she tries to do an English accent at first.
Sir, requesting permission to fire on an enemy attacker.
Which is comical but passable. Plot twist, she was an American woman.
Strap in.
Yes, ma'am.
She will have really, really bad lines of ADR that are so strangely implemented into the movie. This movie takes place entirely into a World War II airplane being shot at and just a bunch of other noises that should be always present in these types of planes, but her lines come out crispy clear and sounding incredibly auto-tuned.
The hell are you doing here?
I'm commissioned to this flight.
I know she's not a voice actress, but you guys could have attempted to implement her voice and the ambient noises a little bit better together. It's not really a problem of sound mixing. I can still hear the plane. It's just that the audio that they got for Chloe Grace Moretz and the audio of the ambience of the plane seemed like they're completely from different worlds. Even in the trailer, you can see that they left some questionable takes of her going. I know this is a feminist movie, or a very superficially feminist movie, because, of course, we have the superficial feminist Hollywood movie bingo. All you have to do is include a comedically misogynist evil man that absolutely hates all women at all times.
Ain't no women in the Air Corps.
Sure, it is the 40s, I'll let it slide. And then you make your female character be strong by doing things in the situation that if she was smart, she wouldn't. She gets into this plane and immediately gets berated by all the people by being incredible misogynist and hate women at all times. So instead of going, what should I do in this situation? I'm in a plane, I cannot leave the plane, and I'm surrounded by possibly dangerous men that clearly do not like me at all. Should I mind my own business, whatever, I'll ignore them for the entire ride and do my mission? Or should I just start talking trash to them to a point where they mute my radio and now I'm in a complete dangerous situation? And by the way, these men are monsters because they're absolutely stupid. They're such big misogynists that instead of just leaving the radio on and ignoring her, they mute the radio. Something that nobody would ever do in a situation like this. They're at war. She's in one of your guns. Don't mute the radio, you absolute maniacs, but it's okay. Because she's a tough lady and she can shoot things. And is a mechanic and a pilot and can do literally anything. I really did think that she had magical powers because of whatever she was carrying in her little dumb radio bag, because the movie starts with her lifting up the radio bag and gold color coming out of it like it's the Ark of the Covenant, and that ghost guy in the beginning of the movie has nothing to do with anything. This movie is not about a haunted plane, it's about a stupid gremlin that looks like a bat, and from time to time some Japanese airplanes show up because more things have to be happening in a movie. This movie wasn't written by, let's make a story. It's just like, we have to have things happen now, so let's have things happen now. I think that the Google tags had it right, because I had the lovely situation of just finding these and it was right on the money for what this movie was. So these are the top voted tags on Google. Unrealistic, illogical, unconvincing, cringe, I love the word cringe, bad acting, corny, silly, unique, very appropriate, awkward, and confusing. It's not that this movie is confusing per se, it's so simplistic, it's just that 5 different simplistic things are happening. This could have been a very straightforward B movie with a gremlin in a plane, and that would have been completely fine. You go into a plane, there's a gremlin there, and you fight the gremlin. I'm sure you could have gotten a full movie's worth with a gremlin in a plane. It's really not that hard to make a monster movie in a small location. You have 6 to 7 characters, one by one they get killed until their final survivor. This is not a groundbreaking script. You didn't have to keep adding things into your script that eventually made it worse. The thing that she has in that bag that I mentioned is it's a baby. That's the twist. I thought 2 things. 1, this is a magical rock that the gremlin wants, or 2, it must be a gremlin baby. Because that gremlin fucking hates Chloe Grace Moretz. He hates her guts. So much to the point where it gets ridiculous. He's essentially holding a grudge throughout the movie against Chloe Grace Moretz. But then you find out it's just her baby. Don't worry why she thought it was a good idea to just get into a random plane and try to fly away with this baby. Now, the gremlin really wants that baby. I cannot tell you why. Maybe he just loves eating babies. It's really delicious to eat a child, according to this movie. I don't know. And Chloe Grace Moretz has the dumbest fight you ever seen, probably this year, where she just bare fists that goddamn gremlin. And then the movie ends. Some of our characters die, some of our characters don't die. I couldn't tell you any of the names of the main guys. This is such a simple movie done so poorly, it's kind of impressive. It's clear that it was many ideas put in one movie. And the funniest thing is that at a point in the movie, even though the gremlin looks okay, it doesn't look bad, where Chloe Grace Moretz gets out of the plane upside down, and boy, does that ever look absolutely stupid. It was absolutely hilarious to see Chloe Grace Moretz in a very obvious green screen upside down walking towards a baby dangling from a plane while she tries to fish it with an iron rod, and the gremlin just fucked off and never came back for exactly the amount of time that was needed for her to rescue her baby. A beautiful clash of just stupidity and incompetence all put into one frame. And then when I thought that the movie couldn't get possibly stupider than whatever was happening in front of my beady little eyes, the movie decides to prove me very wrong. And then when Chloe Grace Moretz climbs upside down back into almost the plane, she falls to her death, and then conveniently a plane flies underneath her, explodes, and sends her flying back into the plane that she was in, perfectly fine, with no burns or broken bones, and she just gets up and keeps going. And the baby was there when the explosion happened. And this baby at the end isn't just jello. All to climax beautifully in that absolutely outstanding stupid fight with a goddamn gremlin. I couldn't have foreseen a movie this dumb coming out so quickly with so little flair. If you're looking forward to just watching a movie that is incredibly short and just beyond stupid, Shadow in the Cloud, or whatever generic name this movie has, is a perfect choice for the January junk. It's a movie that the studio is probably ashamed of, does not want to promote because Max Landis is attached to it for some bizarre reason, and this director just wanted to get out of her field of comfort because she wanted to direct an action movie. She gets blown back into a plane because a different plane blew up underneath her and propelled her back into a plane. There's nothing dumber than this sentence right now. And there's nothing else to say besides sometimes there's incredibly unfitting music. Sometimes they include a little bit of synth, which kind of makes sense given that there's a stupid gremlin in the movie. But then at points they have music that is completely unfitting for the World War II aesthetic. I just needed to tell you that Shadow in the Cloud was a movie that you are never gonna see. You're never gonna hear anybody really talk about it because nobody that was in this movie is really gonna make a point of trying to show off their amazing talent with this movie. And if you ever needed to watch somebody get blown up from a different plane into a plane, now you have a movie just for that. That's all the Shadow in the Cloud can probably provide anybody that watches it. A fist fight with a gremlin and one of the dumbest things I have ever seen in a film. Is that enough of a good conclusion? I don't know. It's not like this movie was really written anyway, so why bother me trying to conclude it? That's fine. You can choose to subscribe, or maybe you can choose to watch Shadow in the Cloud for the dumbest thing you can watch right now. There's literally nothing else out there, so why not? Alright, goodbye.